Let's see if we have Peter also with us. Yes, we do have Peter with us.
Hey.
Hello, Peter. How are you?
Good morning. Doing fine, thank you. Yourself?
Morning. Yeah,
Can you
very
hear
good,
me?
very good. So it's yeah, great to do this again and to look out for the trends for 2023 and what we can expect. So really nice to have Signify also with us.
I look forward to presenting the trends for next year.
For next year, yes. Do you have a presentation with you today, Peter?
Yeah, I do.
Let me see if I can make you co-host so you can share your screen.
Can you see?
Yes.
Yeah, can you see something? All right.
Yeah, please reach out to discuss. Yeah, now you're probably going to the first slide. Healthy daytime lighting. Yes.
And I put in full presentation and you can hear me fine, right?
Yes, we can hear you great. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Well, welcome to Global PropTech Online, Peter. And yeah, the floor is yours.
Okay, let's do it. I'm going to talk about circadian lighting. It's a new topic that we cater to. It's part of the strategy from Signify to have brighter lives and better world, as you can see here on the slide. And I will do that in order to make a pitch that healthy daytime lighting is relevant. So in the office space, we think that lighting is important, especially to make your body clock tuned to the activity that you're exploring in the office. And what I will be doing is I will be presenting this story, but first of all, let me present that what LED lighting is about today in PropTech. It's mostly about being connected. So LED lighting has quite a nice opportunity to make it connected. And the connectivity is done to save energy. You see here a screenshot of how a conventional light source consumes 70 watt. And then when you translate it to bring it to LED, it saves energy. When you make standalone connectivity, it saves energy. And when you make it fully connected, it saves even more energy. So that's the story that we are driving into the market. And we do that by catering to a couple of use cases that are perhaps well known. Occupancy detection: when you walk into a room, the lights go on. When you walk away, the lights go off. And we also have switches that allows the user to operate the lights, but then when the user forgets to switch off the light, when he leaves the room, then there is vacancy detection to make sure that there is proper energy saving. It's also the high-end trim. If a fixture is installed, maybe this fixture over here can produce 4,000 lumen. Well, actually, in this particular application, you may need only 3,200 lumen or so. That would be good. Then there is no 3,200 lumen fixture. So what is then done is there is a trimming to tune it down to exactly the light level that you need. And then you save an additional 8 watts compared to the 40 watt that the LED fixture consumes without trimming. And the last but not the least is daylight regulation. We all know that daylight is important, so a lot of buildings are now catered to let more daylight into the building. And that, of course, allows to save energy, because when you have daylight, you don't need the electrical light. So we can have very profound saving per light point, even up to 60 watt. And we have wireless connected lighting organizing to that. But once you have that, once you have wireless connected lighting, you can also run a circadian rhythm. You can change the intensity and the color temperature of the light throughout the day. And we will tell you about how that will affect your health and well-being, as lighting turns out to be very important, maybe as relevant as food, water, and air. Light is important for your biological functioning. And in order to highlight the importance of it, let's realize, let's be aware, let's acknowledge the fact that we live mostly indoors. We spend a lot of time indoors. Of course, some people go out during the day, maybe during a lunch walk or so. That's very healthy. We recommend that to do. And we also understand why daytime lighting, natural lighting, is more healthy than the current indoor lighting, and I will explain the details behind it. But not all of us can spend that time outside, and sometimes maybe it is too cold, or sometimes maybe it is too warm to go outside. And then we spend most of our time indoors, and that actually is not so good for your health. And I will explain you why that is. And of course, that succumbs to a trend that buildings not only need to cater to sustainability, of course, that's very important. Sustainability is a very important goal to achieve. But if you have a good sustainable building and nobody wants to work in that building, then of course you also have no good purpose in your building. So the WELL certification from the Institute of Wellbeing is ramping up. You can see that more and more buildings start to qualify towards that certification, and there the well-being of the people is the profound element into the story that is brought into the market. So we recognize that in the market there is a trend to look in more detail to lighting. And I will explain the physics behind that lighting effect on the human being. And I just need two things. First of all, on the left, you see a picture of the eye. And that's the important sensor that I'm going to discuss. Of course, that's pretty obvious, right? But the eye is a sensor. It's a complicated sensor, and I will explain a bit of the functioning of the eye. But I also need to explain on the right-hand side that light is actually consisting of different colors. So white light consists of a range of colors. And in particular, I will be focusing a little bit on the blue light in my storytelling, why we need to look at healthy daytime lighting. And here is a more detailed story, and this is the most complicated slide that I will discuss this today. Here is a more detailed story how this processor, this sensor that I have pictured here in the middle is so important for our functioning and for our well-being. Well, first of all, it's about visual, right? Of course, your eye creates an image for the brain then to analyze and to operate on the details that it sees in that image. That's the white path that I have here predicted in the slide. Also coincides with this white curve here. This curve is a sensitivity curve. It shows that for vision, we are mostly sensitive, our eye is mostly sensitive for wavelengths around 550 nanometers, the green and the yellow. And that, of course, comes from the fact that we have evolved over time on the arid plains in Africa, where green and yellow colors were very, very relevant to compose the image. Actually, blue light doesn't contribute at all to, or hardly, to making an image. And also red light is not so important for creating image, although the details can be important. We have in our field, in the lighting field, we do have emphasis on red light, and that is for rendering the skin color of people. Right, so this is all about vision, and you can see that it is centered around 550 nanometers. But then there is a second curve, a red curve here in this picture. And that was invented, that was discovered 20 years ago, that the eye happens to not only have sensors for vision, but also it has sensors for regulating the biological clock. And these sensors have been discovered and returned into a Nobel Prize winning discovery of sensors in your eye that look for lighting, they look for the light outside, but not to create an image, not to do vision, but they do that for regulating the biological clock, to find out whether it is daytime or whether it is nighttime. And that was discovered and resulted after 20 years of good scientific work into a spec, into a specification, into a recommended practice that is now available. It was published in the first quarter of this year, that you need a certain amount of biological lux levels or melanopic lux levels that are centered around the 480 nanometers that you see in this red curve. So once again, vision is around 550 nanometers, and that has been traditionally the field of lighting. But for the regulation of the clock, you actually need 480 nanometers. And it is shown that in a normal office, in the current practice of offices, Actually, the light levels are good for vision, right? You have the lux levels, you have the CRI values, you have the glare ratings, everything is nicely regulated for vision, but it still shifts your clock with about 12 minutes per day because it is not rich enough in blue. And that means that people will get jet lag. Every day they will get jet lag. And we know that jet lag is not good for you, right? It is altering your hormones and it is impacting, for instance, diseases like diabetes and obesity that come from having the fact that you have a jet lag. So that's the reason why we now understand that if you take a look at the LED spectrum, this is a typical spectrum of an LED light source that is being used in the office. Well, you can see that it is optimized for vision, right? Around this 550 nanometers, there's a lot of photons in this spectrum that help you to see. And again, the red photons are here in order to render the skin colors. But right at the point where we have the 480 nanometers, you can see a dip. And the dip is causing harm because it does not sufficiently regulate your biological clock. And with that, we now look into a different field that comes up for the next year to create healthy daytime lighting by looking a bit more towards offices that perhaps need to cater to the needs of their occupants in a different way, right? We took perhaps the offices for granted. Before the COVID pandemic, everybody went to the office and okay, it's fine. But now the office is more a place where we can become creative. And of course, for being creative and being healthy, we need to look at lighting. And that's what we are doing. We are launching a lineup of luminaires, fixtures, that comprise of this more blue-rich light in different regions in the world. We have a full portfolio available. And if you'd like to know more, and if you'd like to discuss with us about that portfolio for healthy daytime lighting and what it is about to create circadian lighting, then please reach out and we can discuss for your opportunity the needs around healthy daytime lighting. With that, I close this presentation. I'll switch to Zoom again.
Cool. Thank you very
Thanks,
much, Peter.
Wouter.
Yeah, how do you see this being adapted also by the real estate industry?
Yeah, so for the real estate industry, we need to educate and we need to train and we need to see how investors will be able to attract more tenants and lower the vacancy rates and perhaps even increase the rent. So that is, of course, is something that needs some support. And we get a lot of support by the International Wellbeing Institute of the WELL certification, which is relevant for buildings.
Okay,
And
because
that, of course,
if real estate is going to for these WELL certifications, then they start also implementing this lighting stuff.
Yeah, circadian lighting. Yeah, correct. You get points for circadian lighting in the case of WELL certification. And that, of course, then in turn helps to create a good status for your building and attract the tenants to lower the vacancy rates.
Yeah. Cool. Where do you see this being implemented the most right now in the world?
Yeah, it starts with the Nordics countries. So the Nordics countries have,
It's
of
always
course,
the Nordics. How come?
They have good money, but they also lack daylight, right?
Okay.
The altitude on the planet prevents that they have good lighting in the winter. And you perhaps are familiar with the winter dip, right? Or winter depression. And that knowledge became the stimulus for them to invest more into healthy daytime lighting. It's also coming from the fact that people now understand that blue light in the evening is not a good thing, right? You all know that you have your phone with nighttime mode and your tablets with nighttime modes to prevent that you cannot fall asleep in the evening. It suppresses the melatonin because there is no blue light in that screen. Well, exactly the opposite is needed during the day. You need the blue light to wake up. So a good boost of blue light is very relevant for being healthy.
Yeah. Imagine that the Nordics are so far ahead also in the whole smart building building stuff. I really like that what they are doing. They are like really
Correct.
an inspiration for the rest of the world.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you very much, Peter, for being with us
Sure.
today. Hopefully, you have also a really nice last months of the this year of 2022, and hope to see you back next year as well.
I look forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Enjoy
Goodbye,
your day.
Martin.
Bye bye.
Yeah, sure. Take care.